depression isn't real. Depression is a state of mind designed to motivate you to find a life that doesn't depress you any further. That's all it is. Now you have to decide, are you man enough to go and get it done, or are you gonna sit around and cry? And everyone's telling me how dangerous my mindset is. What is dangerous about believing that you control your own mind? Feeling depressed is real. You can be depressed with your situation, that's fine. But believing you can fix it yourself is the important key. Sitting there believing that depression is some monster from the sky that strikes your brain and now you have no control over it and you must take pills every day is the absolute enemy. I don't give a fuck how depressing my situation. The only person who can change it is me. The only person who can change how I feel about my situation or try and affect the situation directly is me. Even if you put me in a situation I can't change, if you put me in jail and I'm depressed because I'm in jail, I still refuse to succumb to depression. I refuse to collapse mentally and give up. I know the only person who can control my mind is me. Nobody's coming to save me. No doctor with a pill is coming to save me. And depression, the reason I talk about depression a lot is because depression in the Western world is the cure-all. It's the cure-all excuse. This is what people are using. My life's shit because I'm depressed. No, you're depressed because your life is shit. It's the other way around, and you're refusing to acknowledge that, and you want to sit there and live a shit life and pretend that some disease has struck you. And the reason you know that's bullshit, anyone out there who's depressed, I'll tell you something, you're not depressed, you're a coward. And the reason you're a coward is as follows. You desperately try to defend this crippling ailment you have. When I tell you depression isn't real, you message me pages and pages, desperate to convince me I'm wrong, that depression is a real thing and that your life is terrible and this ailment has destroyed your life because you're desperate to defend your excuse. If depression was really terrible, you wouldn't want to defend it. If depression was really so bad and I'm telling you it's not real and I know how to fix you, and if you implement a mindset like mine, you become immune to depression. If depression was so terrible, you'd listen to me and think, I need to try what this guy does. If he's immune to depression and it's impossible to depress him, I need to be like this man. But instead, no, you don't want to do that. You want to call me names and sit and defend this ailment because you know it's garbage. It's your excuse. It's your blanket. It's your shield. It's your excuse you get to pull out every time you look at your failure of a life. And that's why depression is absolutely and utterly not real. And anyone who thinks they're depressed, I'll tell you something now, drop that coward bullshit. If you're watching this and you're depressed, drop and give me 200 press-ups. Do 200 press-ups. Look in the mirror, look in your eyes and tell yourself you're the fucking man and drop that garbage because you're gonna get absolutely nowhere in your life if you believe in that crap. Depression absolutely isn't real.
I try and say to men overall that life as a man is pretty shit, and you're gonna feel shit for a pretty large percentage of the time. But you're only gonna ever escape that if you just perform regardless. You have to perform when you feel bad. As a man, you can't say, I will perform when I feel good. It doesn't work that way because our heads are too complicated and life's too complicated. There's too much on our shoulders and we have too much stress and too much pressure. Our heads are fucked. You have to be the kind of person who says, I perform regardless. I didn't miss a single day's training. I didn't miss a please. I didn't miss a thank you. I'm not saying I was happy. I'm saying I did exactly what I was supposed to do. I think God has created us, and I think that He has created us in His image. And I believe that life, the purpose of it is to learn, and it is to struggle, and it is to suffer. And I don't think that we are put on the planet to be happy. I actually genuinely believe we are put on the planet to learn things and to struggle and to genuinely suffer. I think that life is suffering. And I'm not saying this in a negative way. I think that if you want to be any kind of man of caliber, your life needs to be full of suffering. If you don't have that story of pain, you don't have a story at all. It's just the way the world works. You're not going to be a credible man who is respected if you don't have a bunch of pain and problems in your past. If you wake up and you're born as a man and everything goes exactly to the way you want it to and everything's nice and easy, nobody's going to respect you and you're not even going to be happy yourself. I believe that also the masculine imperative not only is to give, but it is to overcome struggle. We look at struggles and we look at problems and we want to overcome them. I want to fix it. I've got to beat it. It's inside of us. So I think that all these bad things that happen to us are actually a blessing. We should be glad for all of them. We should be proud for them. I'm glad God put me in jail. That's the mental model I've decided because I refuse to believe in anything that takes power away from me, and I believe that I'll be the most powerful version of myself if I am happy that I went to jail. And if by some miracle I lose this case and they put me in jail again, the mental model I will adopt is, good, okay, God has something He needs me to learn, so I'm going to go back to the dungeon. And that's just the mental model I'm going to adapt because I think that's the best way for me to compete and be the best version of myself. So a human, I think, is a vessel designed to suffer, to become a best version of itself so it can pass on lessons to the fullest of its capability to its offspring before its ultimate demise onto the final stage, or the next stage of this life, or whatever lives we live. I think your body and your mind are linked, and my mind's constantly at war. I'm constantly stressed and people are trying to hurt me. And I think that if you are waking up every day and checking your phone to see which government agencies want you gone, and which problems you have, and which enemies of yours are gaining ground, and you have to find a way to combat against all of this, when you have the British Broadcasting Corporation trying to spread lies about you, and you have to get more views than they do, than the BBC, your mind's at constant war, and I think your body reacts to that. I think if you constantly feel like you're in a fight, then your body's going to react. Why would your body not give your mind what it believes you need? And I guess it's just a reflection of the lifestyle I live and the way my mind is operating and the pressure I'm under and the stress I'm under. Because of the mental models they're instilling inside of men and children, like we're saying, we're not teaching them to fight back against their enemies, and we're teaching them to just collapse and comply and be complicit with their enemies. So a lot of it, I believe, is mindset. I believe it's just mindset. My mind is at war, so my body is ready for war. My advice is that one day you're going to look back on all the things you're currently going through and you're going to be glad they happened. If you have the right mental model, if you change how you think, one day you will look back and be glad they happened. And the most fantastic thing about changing the way you think is, regardless of what people say to you or despite the fact they tell you it's not true, I promise you, one of the only things on the planet you can control is what you think. Can't control the weather, can't control other people, can't control if your heart stops. You can't even keep it beating. But you can control what you think. I'm not saying it's easy, but it can be done. And if you change the way you view things, you change the perspective, you'll be happy that it's happened to you. Sometimes you can have an event or it's like a prism. You can have something and it's all about the perspective you view it from. And I think if you are malleable enough in your mind and disciplined enough to instill the correct software at the correct time to make sure that you're as competitive as possible, you can take any situation or scenario that you're going through and find the positive in it and use it to make you a better person.